Hey everyone, David Smock here, and I wanted to do a video. It was inspired by Daniel Malone at CoinHelp or CoinHelpU, and he did a video recently on what is ruining and killing the hobby of coin collecting, and he made a lot of good points, but I think he missed one, and I would like to talk about it. And Daniel's a really good guy, a really good mentor and friend. I consider him a friend, and I'm one of his admins over at our Facebook group. We've got a couple Facebook groups. I'll leave links in the down below. He's also got a website. I'll leave that down below as well because I do reference him all the time. When I started coin collecting, I had very few resources available to me. I had really three as far as for errors and varieties. I had the classic Red Book. Who doesn't love the Red Book? I've gotten to meet Ken Brissett many times through summer seminar, and he's a wonderful guy. And this book is a must for anyone, any general collector, whether you're collecting errors or varieties or type coins or whatever. It's they're not, the prices are not so much what you're looking at, but the mintages and the just all the listings of all the years. I mean, everything you'd want to know. There's so much trivia in here. I also had this. Now, these are not the exact copies, of course. I started collecting when I was 5, and I recently picked up these copies. And of course, that Red Book I showed you too is 2009, so it's actually about 20 years. No, 89, 99, 99. Oh, yeah, about 20 years. I was collecting 20 years prior to that. been I've been collecting for 30 years now. Anyway, the next book is the Error Coin Encyclopedia by Arnold Margulis. Got to meet him as a YN. He was a great guy. This goes through the minting process, and it's got pictures. Let me find a good one. You know, you can see that the mint is just a big factory. That's really what it is. And so this was a great book, and it has all sorts of wonderful information. And then I had Cherry Picker's Guide, and this would have been the version that I had at the time when I started collecting. It's not the exact book again, but it is a version, and this was released in 1991, so copyright 1990. This was the second edition. There would have been a first edition, which I probably would have had. My stepdad actually would have had it. It would have been his, would have been my later stepdad actually. So anyway, this was as big as it was. The second edition. This is, I don't think they even do half cents. I think it's just small cents. I mean, pardon me. Yeah, they don't do half cents. It's just large cents through gold and commemoratives. It is 208 pages, front to back, and then you get your cover. So I guess, what, 210 pages? Yeah. Those were my 3 resources. You got to understand, when I started collecting, they didn't have the internet. And now, again, if you're specializing in errors and varieties, let's just do a quick research. Coin search. Coin errors and varieties. In 0.78 seconds, I pulled up 1.9 million searches or resources. 1.9 million resources in 0.78 seconds. Now, there's VarietyErrors.com, there's Coin News, Spruce Crafts, Jim's Coins, PCGS, error-ref.com. Now let's look at that one for a minute. Look at, you can tell all of the information this has. Let's look at, let's just pick a page, striking errors. No, let's go planched errors. All right, now, all right, look at all that information. And within all of this information, and within all this information, there are links. And I'm just showing you, it shows examples of all of these. That's pretty amazing if you ask me. Look at all this. This is one website. All right. Now, there's also, let's see if it comes up, money.org. Obviously, that's the ANA's website. DoubleToDie.com. Look at this. All right. Now, this is one of the most expansive websites out there for double dies and RPMs, etc. This is repunch dates, over dates, you name it, RPMs and over mint marks. And it says how they're done, how they happen, and it shows examples. That's another website. There's also, and I'm just going to go directly to them now, VarietyVista.com, which is Lincoln cents through mint sets and golden dollars, your common circulating coinage, as well as things like Buffalo nickels and Standing Liberty quarters. Franklin has, Kennedy has, Eisenhower dollars, Susan B. Anthony's, etc. And let's just pick let's go, for instance, Lincoln cent RPMs. 1960D. 1 through 60. These are all individual RPMs. This is the number 1 through, so these are 60 RPMs right here. All right. And then there's 113. So there are 113 1960D RPMs. Now here's my point. What am I getting at? There is so much information at your fingertips, far more than I ever had, and yet we still get, and I would argue that it's even worse, people who don't want to take the time to do the simplest of research, a simple Google search. We get there are people that will show a Mexican peso, and they'll ask us what country it's from. It'll say Mexico, 1 peso, 19 whatever, and they'll ask what the coin is. Laziness. That is killing our hobby too, and it's killing what I would say is one of the integrities of the hobby, and it's killing. It's inundating the hobby with a lot of people that don't want to be very knowledgeable. I mean, they say they do, but they're not doing the work that it takes to become knowledgeable. I am by far not the most knowledgeable person in the world, but I know some of what I'm talking about. I'm an intermediate, and I was, I had mentors such as Bill Fiva and the late J.T. Stanton and, Mike Ellis and, James Wiles and Ken Potter and you name it. And I've been on the board of Coneca. That's not a brag. That's opportunity because circumstance, for one, I got lucky. And number two, I did the research and I learned what was out there. And I think this hobby is being inundated with people that are just trying to get rich quick. And I want to show you something too about the Cherry Picker's Guide. You know, there are certain websites that I've even shown you that they have the most minor double dies, and people are excited over them. And I understand it's cool to find a double die, but they're not very major. If you look at the Cherry Picker's Guide, you really have to have some pretty major doubling to be listed. Now, every double die is listed. Every double die, every RPM, it's all listed. I mean, there are some that I would not even. Yes, they're technically double dies, but it's just the most mild of extra thickness. We're talking less than, 1/100th of a millimeter, and there's no split serifs. That didn't cut it back then when I was collecting. Now people go gaga and goo-goo over those things. I'm not interested in that personally. And so I think our standards of collecting, and I'm not knocking people that collect them, by the way. I know it sounds like that, but I'm not. I'm just saying I think our standards have lowered. And hopefully newer collectors will develop a little bit finer standards as they get further along. But certainly in the beginning, people don't want to do the research for themselves, and they've got low standards for what they feel is collectible. And you can collect what you want, but the real problem is the lack of research. We've got all of these resources at our fingertips. Again, let me go back to Google. That's just coin errors and varieties. And again, we have what was it, 2 million resources? Yeah, 1.9. That's a lot of resources that were not out there when I was a kid and when I started collecting. And now that's all out there, and people don't want to do their research. That is sad, and it scares me for the hobby, because what we're ending up with is non-knowledgeable collectors or unknowledgeable collectors. And knowledge is everything. That was drilled in my head as a YN, and it's true. You have to know what you're doing if you want to make it in this hobby, and if you want to not get ripped off. And especially, I think, for people my age who are getting into the hobby, my age and younger, we need to set our standards high so that what we leave our children with is higher quality stuff. 100 years from now, no, let's say 50 years from now, probably no one's going to care about a 2019 cent that's got a little bit extra thickness. If that's all you've collected, what kind of collection do you have? And again, you may like it, but I'm talking from an investment purpose. You want to make sure people understand, like, okay, this is minor and this is not a major collection. And I don't want, and part of that is because I see so much of that happening already with people that their grandfathers have collected, and the grandfather passes on, and they go to the local coin shop, and they think they've got collections that are extremely valuable, and they're just not. And they thought their father or grandfather was very, very knowledgeable. Turns out they weren't, and that just hurts them, and it hurts their feelings. And I think it can be prevented if we step up our game and become more knowledgeable. So I would encourage you to do research. Do a quick Google search. If you can recognize any words, even if it's in Russian, type in the letters you can identify. There might be one word where, all right, it looks like an R, but it's really a P or whatever. whatever the Russians do. Type out what you see and do a Google search. You can also do reverse image searches. So, appreciate what you have and understand that you've got to learn, and that's what this hobby is about. It's about knowledge. So I'm going to stop rambling now, and I want to thank you for watching my videos. Hope I haven't offended anybody. Collect what you want, but I'm just saying, be aware of what you're collecting and the value of what you're collecting to make sure that it is what you want, and make sure that your relatives and people like that understand the value so that in the future they don't end up getting burned. All right. Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good one. Bye.